It's a warm but grey day at the Fuji Speedway. The cloud covering the top of the mountain behind. It has poked its head out, but the good thing is rain early hours this morning. Wet track when the cars arrived, but now it's bone dry and the grid ahead of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia race. The first of two here at Fuji Speedway. They will be rounds, effectively races 5 and 6 in the championship. Packed grid of cars, 19 cars split between 4 different classes going out to play on what is a fabulous, fabulous race circuit. Plenty of gradient change, a lot of very, very testing corners, and balances everything. But again, though it's dried out through the day, I think if you venture out onto the grass beyond the racing line, you could be in for a nasty surprise. But there on the grid is the pole-sitting Gamma racing car. Chris van der Drift shares that with Evan Chen. They've won 3 of the 4 races. In fact, they've won 4 of the 4 races, but one of those was taken away from for a technical infringement at Suzuka, so they're not at the top of the championship. But they're on pole by over half a second from Brendan Leach, who's sharing the number 7 Lippert Motorsport entry with Massimo Vignali. Great looking cars up and down the grid. That's the second row. That's Hojust Racing. Afik Yazid sharing the second row with Vincenzo Sospiri Racing's Yuki Namoto. So the horn has been sounded, the gong has been beaten, and the grid is being cleared. There is the car I just mentioned, Yuki Namoto, car number 66, in the standard Vincenzo Sospiri Racing white and blue. Well, let's take a look at the grid. For the first of their 2 races here at Fuji Speedway. Now we can almost see all of that. Bear in mind, the car on the left has been first to the finish in all 4 of the races. The opening 2 races at Sepang, and then the next 2 races at Suzuka. One of those wins was taken away, however. Car 77, that's back on row 3. That is the leading car in the AM class, being driven very, very well indeed by Jun Toshiro, and he's sharing with Satoshi Furuta. So a good race set ahead of them. Cars have all had quite a lot of track time here at Fuji to learn the lines, see what's critical, see how the track changes through the temperature changes that have come in a week that was filled with rain. There's been heavy flooding in parts of Japan, but now it seems to be turning the right way. We may yet see Mount Fuji pop its head up sometime soon, but really from the driver's point of view, it's the fact it's a dry stretch of racing tarmac, 15 corners around the lap length, and some really, really strong performances. But just to reiterate, Evan Chen, Chris van der Drift, their car 68 on pole position by a shade over half a second from the Lippert Motorsport entry, black and a yellow livery. That's the Pro-Am class leader, and that's being shared number 7, Massimo Vignali and Brendan Leach from New Zealand. And now they can focus on the dipping run down to turn 1 on this super long start-finish straight. Best part of a mile, 1.5 kilometres. Start low, come up high over the hump, which is pretty much under the starting gantry. Then it drops down to turn 1. Many lines you can take there, plenty of runoff out beyond, but many a driver gets a little bit bold into there on the opening lap, and quite a few of them don't get away to tell the tale with any great happy conclusion. So the 19 drivers who are going to kick off this race, a 50-minute race, driver change in the middle for those that have a driver to change to, and a pit stop for those that don't. It's going to be very, very critical at the start, because the Kiwi on the outside of the front row is sure to want to tackle the Kiwi on the inside of the front row. Yes, 2 Kiwis on the front row. Chris van der Drift, the Gamma Racing Lamborghini, and Brendan Leach on the outside for Lippert Motorsport. And while there's a half a second between first and second on the grid, there's a further gap of about 0.8 of a second back to Yuki Namoto on row number 2. So the first 2 really have to be set fair for this race. Not bad visibility, as you can see, sort of a white sky effectively. It's a cloudy day. Have been little breaks in the cloud, but really for a lot of these drivers, their main concern was that it wasn't raining. There was at the start of the day, it was listed at more than 50% chance of precipitation. There are the clouds, or where's Mount Fuji? Imagine it behind those trees in the background of the shot. That's where it should be, but it's a treat when it comes out, and you don't come here expecting to see it, that is for sure. But fabulous views back into the valley below. Swinging around, that's high above the final corner, looking down, and many other little circuits. That's the lower part of the paddock, motocross course, just off to the right-hand side, tucked in behind the trees. And biscuits for the people up on the starting gantry, that's nice. So, it's going to be 2 races here this weekend at Fuji. Next time out will be at Yongam in Korea at the start of August. But right now, track conditions looking very good, waiting for the start of the formation lap. So it's Gamma Racing 68 on pole position, Lippert Motorsport number 7 on the outside of the front row. Lights have turned to green, the flag is waved from the starting box, and off goes the field. Looks as though they're all getting away very nicely indeed. Good spread of teams. As I say, Gamma Racing on pole, Lippert Motorsport second on the grid, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing third on the grid, Hojas Racing fourth, FFF Racing Team, 5 teams in the top 5 positions. Then we go to Promotion Racing, the leading AM car, number 77. That's great spread, 6 teams in the top 6 positions, in fact 7 in the top 7. GDL Racing come next with Richard Muscat. There we are, back to row 2. Look out for Afik Yazid. He's had some really good runs this year. He's in the aquamarine colour car, running 4th in that line. Yusuf Pohaka, he is actually sharing the championship lead with his teammate Takashi Kasai, because they've managed to finish all the races, or finish with points from all the races. So they're definitely in with a very good shout, and continuing their lead in the championship. But you feel Gamma Racing with Evan Chen and Chris van der Drift will be doing their best to cut it back. Zen Low had the acrobatic moments at Suzuka. Somehow they managed to get the spare car out. He went rolling down the barriers ahead of the first 2 races there, but he's fine. The car was not. They've got the spare. They're going to go out and see what he can do. Sharing with Angelo Negro. 19 cars in all. This is the view looking from turn number 7, Advent Corner. You see the valley in the background, still slightly hazy down below, a cloud hanging over the mountains beyond. And towards the tail of the field, you can see if you see the final car, number 99, that's 19th on the grid out of 19 cars. GDL Racing's Takeshi Matsumoto, just waiting for his car to be listed. He's running in the LC class, Lamborghini Cup, which is effectively occupying all but one of the last 7 positions on the grid, with the best placed at the start being Gabriele Moroni, also for GDL Racing. There is 99 in the grey race livery. And looking this race for another car from GDL Racing, the Pro-Am class, car number 47, being started by Richard Muscat. That tends to pick its way forward through the field. But right now it's 68 and 7. They are the front row starters. In behind 66, Yuki Namoto and Afik Yazid, starting in aquamarine turquoise, call it what it will, colour for Hojas Racing. So swinging round the 15th and final corner. Drivers supposed to be side by side. Good that Yazid is just trying to move up alongside Namoto on the second row, but the front 2 starters have got it all but perfect as they come up, looking at the lights on the starting gantry, waiting, just waiting for the lead car to pit, not the lead racer. They're going for a second formation lap. He's leading it late to pull into the pit lane, but looks like we might be getting a further lap. He's leaving it very late. Waved yellow flags on the start-finish line. Now he pulls in. Now all eyes on the starting gantry. Had me concerned for a second. Afik Yazid needs to move up. He's lying effectively 5th rather than 4th as they look at the lights on the gantry. There's a long hold, really racking the drivers' brains and shredding their nerves. Chris van der Drift and Brendan Leach on the front row. Yuki Namoto and Afik Yazid. Any second now, we have a 50-minute race underway. Some fierce starting down from mid-grid, but it looks so good start from the pole starter Chris van der Drift. Afik Yazid having a run at Brendan Leach. Namoto in the white car trying to dive up the inside. I think very wise line from Leach, not only getting his nose in front to keep out of trouble, but up the inside Chris van der Drift did just enough, slightly hit the curb. And in fact, Namoto and Yazid, certainly Namoto in the white car, moved past Brendan Leach. Brendan, is he back in 4th? I think he should just about be able to go up it back into 3rd again. That allows that challenge for Yazid has challenged him, and in fact, pushing very hard. Yusuf Pohaka has come into the mix as well in car number 63, but got it all right from pole position. Chris van der Drift already pulling clear from Yuki Namoto, then Afik Yazid. In fact, Brendan Leach seems to be falling back to about 5th position. Looked okay into turn 1. It's gone a little bit wrong since then, but the fight back begins now. In fact, he's down into 6th place. So one Kiwi leading, one having a bit of a glitch there, but Chris van der Drift pulling clear of Yuki Namoto. Here comes Brendan Leach fighting his way back. One position got back. He's now tucking in behind 63, pedalled by Yusuf Pohaka, a very handy Finn. Chris van der Drift, Yuki Namoto, Afik Yazid, Yusuf Pohaka, Brendan Leach. That and then Yun Toshiro. He is best of the rest in 6th place overall. Very tidy start from the Gamma Racing driver. Slightly clipped the curb. The early apex for turn 1, no problem at all. And with Yuki Namoto up into 2nd place, that's protecting him from some of the quicker rivals. Namoto, 3rd quickest in qualifying, but he's a second and a bit down on the overall pace. The winning lap in qualifying set by the driver leading the race at the end of the opening lap. Looks like it's going to be about of a second between van der Drift and Namoto. 0.865 of a second. Yazid, Pohaka, Toshiro, Muscat, and where is Brendan Leach? Look down, trying to see behind the graphic where his car is with the yellow flash on it. Someone is smoking on the start-finish straight. Has there been contact? Looks like there's a bit of bodywork rubbing and smoking on the car in, I think, 4th place, which is Pohaka. No, can't see any smoking right now. Yun Toshiro's up to 5th, and Brendan Leach has not completed the opening lap unless he's right at the very last position in the field. He's listed as 19th and last. Van der Drift dominating at the front here. Car 78 bouncing off the curb a little bit. That's Sutiluk Buncharoen. So he's going to lose a place there. No, swinging around beneath the circuit cafeteria. He holds on to position. That's a very, very wide line into that turn number 7, Advan corner. Oh, Brendan Leach might need a replay. Maybe I was looking at the timing screen, not the race screen, but got back himself back up into 5th position. Now that position very much in the hands of Toshiro, and Brendan down in 19th and last position, 6 seconds after the penultimate driving across the start-finish line at the end of the opening lap. But this is looking at the battle for 2nd place. Nemoto now starting to be pushed a little bit yet by Yazid. 2nd place Nemoto in the white number 66 car from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, not being dropped an enormous amount, coming around to the start-finish line for the second time. He's 0.865 of a second down on the race leader, maybe a tenth or two more than that. Let's have a look this time around. Nemoto 0.865 of a second in arrears. 1.015, so a little bit more gained. 0.15 of a second last time around by Chris van der Drift, the pole man, stretching his advantage but not ripping away. Yazid in 3rd place, Pohaka 4th, Toshiro in 5th. The driver picking his way up the order, car number 99, starting to regain some ground, doing very well. That was the car that started last on the grid, so it's Matsumoto, Takeshi Matsumoto. Didn't set a time, qualified, but quite clearly a driver of sufficient aplomb to work his way towards the top 10. In fact, up to 11th place last time around. 8 places gained over the first 2 laps. Good run. Brendan Leach is still last, by the way. He's just half a second down on Kumar Prabhakaran, so he will start picking his way up the order. But I'll get back to you on why he took that tumble down from 5th place at the end of the opening, well, towards the end of the opening lap. Fastest driver in the first sector of this lap is the driver in 5th place overall, Jun Toshiro. He started 6th for promotion racing. He's the AM class leader by some distance. So just to reiterate, this 5th race in the 2019 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Series is 50 minutes long. Pit stop's not coming for a while, good 10 minutes until the open. Pit window will open at 13:53 and 1 second, so we've got another 15 minutes or thereabouts. Chris van der Drift looks like it's going to be a very, very good 3rd lap for him. He was 1.015 seconds clear of Yuki Nemoto. This time around, wow, how's that for close? He gained 5 thousandths of a second, so even though he was picking up his pace, it was being matched. And Afik Yazid in 3rd place just set the fastest final sector of anyone. The car with the orange flash, Yusuf Pohaka in behind, Yun Toshiro. Richard Muscat, I said he'd come forward, he most certainly has. Then a little bit of a gap back to Zen Low. Ileso Racing, and in behind him, Hulin Han. Car number 39, another driver in the AM class. Car I was looking for is Brendan Leach. Here he comes down to turn 1. It's the yellow, well, they're both yellow and black Lamborghinis, or black and yellow, but it's the one in front. So Brendan Leach up to 15th place. His car's just set equal fastest time through the speed trap. So good in a straight line. Car number 69, talking of Zenlo, yeah, plenty of company from Hulin Han. That's the battle for 2nd and 3rd positions in the AM class. Down the slope they come. 7th place overall they're going for, but it's really for points in class that their dice is all about. Lower stretches of the circuit now. Effectively the high point of the lap is the start-finish straight. Middle of the start-finish straight, it comes from low. And 99 into the pits. Oh dear, that was the charge from the back by Takeshi Matsumoto. Worked his way to the tail of the top 10 from 19th, having set no time. And for GDL Racing, looks like they're going to put that in the garage and polish it. It's not the sort of body language that suggests a great deal more is or can be done to that car right now. So out of the race, everyone moves up from the tail end of the field, up one more position. Gap between first and second is coming down. In fact, we've only got 1.4 seconds between first and third. That's Van der Drift in the middle in the moto, and then Afik Yazid. I said there were some good sectors being set. There is the first three. Looks so 1 second is now covering all of those three drivers. So Van der Drift got away from pole position. Looks so he's going to be able to pull away at will, gain a second, half a second, some laps, 0.2 the next or whatever. But it's coming back down. 0.863 of a second on the start-finish line was the gap between Van der Drift and Yuki Nemoto, and Afik Yazid in third place. Looks so he could potentially be the fastest of the group. In behind, a couple of seconds further back, is championship leader, joint championship leader Yusup Pohaka, and then Yun Toshiro another 2 seconds in arrears in fifth place overall. Toshiro going very well, bearing in mind he's in the AM class. So the promotion racing driver leading the AM class in fifth overall. But this is the driver who's really starting to make the moves. And the turquoise number 38. Afik Yazid, Hojust Racing. Around the opening section of this lap, they've maybe taken a tenth out of the race leader. Chris Van der Drift, I'm sure, knows what he's doing, controlling the race from the front. Catching a driver at Fuji Speedway is one thing. Finding a way past is another thing entirely. So we'll see how they do. And a lot of them, they'll know they've got a pit stop coming up, and they have a different tactic to another team. They may be able to gain a position. Contact between car 47 and 7 under investigation. So there we have it. Number 7 is the driver who went to the back of the field on the opening lap, Brendan Leach. And car 47 was Richard Muscat, an Australian driver coming into contact in a bit of Tasman rivalry with the Kiwi. I'll keep an eye on that. It's under investigation. I'll look if there's any further notices on that matter. But what we have right now is first place Van der Drift, second place in Moto, third place Yazid, and Pohaka, I think in his own clear air, is perhaps, let's just look at lap times. No, he's not quite matching them. He's losing about half a second a lap. But Brendan Leach continues to make up ground. Another place about to be put into his pocket. Yeah, he's moved ahead of Sarah Theoronical. So up the order goes number 7, working his way forward. Next target, top 10, is up to 12. In fact, he just now moved up to 11th. The car in front of him is the car 10th, and he wants the position. Pull 1. Brendan bouncing over the curbs a bit. Another car in problems. We saw Takeshi Matsumoto being wheeled back in a GDL Racing garage, and now unfortunately a car that was going very nicely indeed early in the race. Hulin Han for T-Squared Racing, he is in the pit lane as well. Another place gained by Brendan Leach. Moved past, so he's up past Sarah Theoronical. His next target is Paul Wong. He just gained another position. I think that was going past. Was that Zen Low he's just passed? If that is Zen Low, he's going rather slowly, falling back. Looks to be losing many positions. I'll keep an eye on that, but certainly not going backwards, quite the reverse. Going forwards, Brendan Leach, Lamborghini Auckland livery on the side there, number 7. Moving forward now into the top 10. First, second and third. 1.034 seconds on the start-finish line. Fastest lap of the race by Chris Van der Drift. That's put him 0.6 of a second here. We are dealing in hundredths of a second here. For now, Chris Van der Drift in front, 0.6 of a second clear of Yuki Nemoto. Behind Nemoto, Afik Yazid, the turquoise car, getting closer and closer in third place overall. Will number 38 stay in third position for much longer? Well, pit window opens in another 8 3/4 minutes. They're not concerning themselves with that for now. It stays open for 10 minutes. And quite a few of these drivers are in Pro-Am lineups, and 66 and 30 and 38 are. So I suggest they're the pros and the pairings, and they will stay out as long as they possibly can before the pit window closes. Yeah, unfortunately it was Zen Low that was falling down the order. He's tumbled to 17th and last of the effective runners. Limping in, yet to get to the end of that lap, so I think he may not have made it back towards the pits. But this battle for the lead of the race, super tight. really much gain and much loss between this top trio. Yusuf Pohaka, I thought he might be able to catch up with them, but today he just can't lap at their sort of pace. He's there or thereabouts. In fact, the last lap or so, he's stabilised the gap. He's 2.5 seconds further back than Yazid. So third place Yazid, you can see him the third in that trio of cars. And then, as they start dropping down towards turn one, the start-finish race dips into the first corner. Tight downhill right-hander. You can see Yusuf Pohaka just trying to hang on their tails, but he lost a few tenths of a second. He's now 2.5, nearly 2.6 seconds down in fourth place overall. Yu Lin is now the driver leading the AM. No, he's not. AM class is Yun Toshiro, of course. He's in fifth, so he's just off the back of Yusuf Pohaka. He's another 2 3/4 seconds down in fifth place overall. He is the AM class leader. Not this driver, the driver of the next car, black with a white nose. Promotion Racing, leading the AM class in fifth place overall. Brendan Leach has really got the bit between his teeth. He's matching the pace of the race leaders. He's up to 9th place overall. Watch out, and he's actually now this lap lapping faster than the race leaders. He'll be in the background of this shot fairly soon. Car at the front of that, 77 in the shot. Toshiro being chased by Richard Muscat as they fight over 5th position overall. The AM driver Toshiro ahead of the Pro-Am Muscat. Really, there is no change at the front. They are dealing in tenths of a second here or there. Is Yusuf Pohaka a little bit closer? Possibly, but it's stalemate at the front race. It's close, but I can't see the overtaking. Pit window opens in just over 6 minutes. Heat haze in the long shot down the start-finish straight. 1.1 seconds between Yazid in third and race leader Chris van der Drift. Yuki Nomoto sitting in the middle, unable to attack, not yet having to defend. Yeah, Zenlo did not make it back to the end of the lap, but we saw him limping, tumbling down from within the top 10, but he's now stopped somewhere in that third and final sector. So effective last place on the circuit now being held by car 98. Second car from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, and that's with Kumar Prabhakaran at the wheel. Right the way down the order, there's attempted passing manoeuvres. In fact, most of the passing is happening down towards tail of the field. That's the car, Lamborghini Cup class leader, car number 44. That's entered by 852 challengers, and it's Paul Wong driving it. He's sharing that with Clement Lee. Nice delivery on that. 10th overall. It's got car 57 close at hand. That's the one shared by the Sarithoranikal brothers from Thailand. It's Saroon at the wheel, no, Saravut at the wheel, and Saroon takes over later. Car 69 and 39, collision at turn 11 under investigation. Car 69 was Zen Lo, the one that limped home. Car number 39 was the one with Huilin Han. We saw that go into the pits, so maybe the damage was worse for Huilin Han's car. Brought him into the pits, the T-squared racing example, whereas Zenlo continued for a bit, but clearly then didn't make it back round one more time. 4 seconds now over the top four, but again, it's still just a fraction over a second between first and third. But the last lap was a little bit better for Chris van der Drift. Maybe finally now he's starting to break away from Yuki Nomoto. In fact, he found the best part of half a second. That's why suddenly there's a little bit of breathing space for the Kiwi leading the race for van der Drift. Yeah, you can see in that last lap he gained over half a second on Yuki Nomoto, 0.549 of a second. Pit window opens in under 4 minutes time. Who's going to blink first? Almost stung by the fact that van der Drift got away from him. The first sector of this lap has been the best for anybody, for the driver in second place. But as you see that, Nomoto is being caught all of a sudden through the second sector by the driver in third place, Afik Yazid. But while he's doing that, van der Drift has found another 10th in that sector. So he's got to 1.1 seconds clear. For a while, that was how much covered the top three cars. But now the battle between Nomoto in second place and Yazid in third is really hotting up. Maybe that is finally the pressure that's allowing Chris van der Drift to concentrate on his own race, not worry about attack from behind and break clear. Fourth place, Yusuf Pohako just hasn't had the pace to stay within. He's still matching the pace there or thereabouts, but he's just not able to get within 2.5 seconds of the tail of that group. So Yazid is safe, no attack coming from behind at the moment. How's Brendan Leach getting on? He's up to 8th place last time around. He just banged in his fastest middle sector of a lap, while the first three go over the start-finish line one more time. Second part of the lap was better for Nemoto and Yazid, so they're closing back down on Van der Drift just as it looked as though Van der Drift was getting away. They reversed the trend. It does seem this has been the margin between them for most of the race. 1.1, 1.2 seconds. Pohaka trying to hang on in the background. Fourth place, then fifth, the leading AM-class car. Yun Toshiro has dropped Richard Muscat, not by a lot. There's Muscat, black with the Australian flag on the nose. Being run by GDL Racing. Running through those sweepers, that was turn 3. Also, well, they sometimes call it turn 4. It's a little kink as you come out of the first corner. They sometimes count that as 2. Paul Wong still leading the Lamborghini Cup echelon in car number 44. Plenty of company. He's got Sarabut, Thor Anacol trying to have a look around the outside. But you're going to run out of space there. Sarabut, save it. Try and dip down on the exit, perhaps. Not close enough to do that, though. Drivers setting their best lap last time around. Car number 89 down in 13th place he may be, but Henry Kwong from Hong Kong, he'll hand that over to Max Weiser. It's a Pro-Am pairing in which the quicker of the two, the Pro, is going the second part of the race, and then a twitch for Wong in 44. Lee will take it over, but the place has been lost just too deep into the corner. Saranacle said thank you very much, I'll be coming on through. Suddenly had a change of position. Yazid went ahead of Nemoto. While we were looking at a battle down around the midfield, suddenly after lap, we've just completed 11 flying laps. 11 laps. We suddenly had a change for second place. I fancied all along that Yazid was the quicker of the pair, fighting over second place. But Chris van der Drift has suddenly got 1.5 seconds of advantage, and it was a much slower lap for Nemoto. He just ran a little wide and the gap was grabbed. Can he get it back? I'm not sure he can. I think that he's starting to maybe fall away, or is it the point that Yazid is pulling it clear of him? And Yazid is definitely picking it up and flying at the moment for Ho Just Racing. Malaysian racer now. Can he close the gap to Van der Drift? 1.5 seconds, going out very slightly early stages of the lap. Another 10th game, 1.6 seconds now. Yazid, he's got the pace. He's now got to ignore the car that's behind him. I think Nemoto's best point in this race has been run. Again, it's always in these races a case of what you save of the rubber on the foot of your tyres. Van der Drift, I think, has been very controlled in the lead of the race. Evan Chen will take over. We know they're a very, very strong pairing. In fact, only one of 2 pro pairings in this race. And the other pro car is Yusuf Pohaka, who's leading the championship. He's going to hand over to his teammate in the next few minutes, I want to think, to Takashi Kasai on home ground. But let's see the lap time this time around for Chris van der Drift. It's no improvement at 1 minute 42.4. Puts in 1.5 seconds clear. It's bobbing up and down. We are dealing in very, very small increments as the gap between first and second just goes one way and then back at the other. Look at that. We are dealing in thousands. Look at the bottom of the screen. He gained points 0.061 and then 0.036 last time around. Brendan Leach still running in 8th place overall, and we have people pit visiting because it's pit window opening time. Car number 6 into the pits, that's Yu Lin. He won't be replaced by anybody else. He will stay on board at the minimum pit stop time. So Brendan Leach, there he is. He's just set his fastest lap of the race, so his tyres are still sweet. And his next target, well, in fact, the car is listed ahead of him. It is in the pits. It crossed the line in the pits, inside the pit lane. The FFF Racing Team entry for Yu Lin. So up to effective 7th overall, having fallen to 19th, the last Brendan Leach. A few more pit visitors in the background. In fact, I think Just to do the sums, we have 7 cars in the pits. 2 of them you can ignore because that's Huilin Han and Matsumoto, who pitted early on outside the pit stop window. They pitted to retire. Zenlo is also retired, so we only 16 runners. Zenlo did not make it back to the pits. Looks like a nice, tidy turnaround for one of the Lamborghini Cup class cars. 2 cars entered by Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, and that is the second of those. Kumar Prabhakaran, who was running in effective last position. First to second, nearly 5/10 of a second gained by Afik Yazid, but look, Chris van der Drift pushing as hard as he dares in the last few laps before the pit window will close. They can do this lap and one more, but no more than that. They're going to have to pit, they're going to have to hand over. Chris van der Drift will hand over from the lead. It'll be around a second, because that's what it was on the start-finish line. Look at it now, 1.015 of a second. As he putting on a really, really good chase. And Yuki Nomoto is now 1.8 seconds off their tail in 3rd place overall. His best part of the race is run. We have traffic up ahead of Chris van der Drift, but I sense the pit window may close, therefore we'll have to pit before he catches that car. Car 47 limits, track limits, drivers do get warned. This is Richard Muscat, black car, number 47. Further driving wide off the racing line and penalties will ensue. Brown one more time, race leader, is he going to dive into the pits? Not yet, no, he's gone past Chris van der Drift, going for one further lap. Now, just out of shot is Afik Yazid diving into the pits. I think he's probably matching, no, he's staying 1.366 of a second. The gap between first and second went out rather than in, so Chris van der Drift doing a really, really good job. Afik Yazid trying as hard as he can, and 1.6 seconds behind them. Yuki Nomoto dropped, but not falling away too badly, but really it's a 2-horse race. And then of course the pit crews mustn't fumble their turnarounds. They know that, they know the pit stops are coming very soon. Top 7 runners have yet to pit. Brendan Leach is 7th of those 7 runners. How far is he behind Richard Muscat? 21 seconds. So it's a long way for this recovery drive to go if he's going to move up any more positions. But soon it won't be him at the wheel of the car. Number 7 will be handed over to Massimo Vignali, but it's a really well-balanced driver pairing, so that could stand them in good stead. Running in the Pro-Am class, doing a great job. Car 38, Afik Yazid. His teammate will be waiting. Toshiyuki Ochai in the pit lane. Probably now quite nervous knowing the 38 is in with a chance at the front of the field, but the last lap or so has been better for the race leader. Just looking at the split times, yeah, he's gained a few more tenths of a second. Chris van der Drift will be handing over to the number 68 to Evan Chen, his teammate. For Gamma Racing, started from pole position, looked so he's going to pull clear, but then was really kept very honest in the lead, and now diving in with the pit window still open for the compulsory pit stop. So Chris van der Drift about to come in and hand over to Evan Chen. He had a lead of 1.5 seconds somewhere, the last checkpoint around this lap. Afik Yazid, though, continues for one further lap. It's still saying pit window open at the top of the screen. We will go with that. It's a 50-minute race. There, Gamma Racing led every single lap of the race from pole position. Chris van der Drift brings it in. His pit garage down towards pit exit. You can see by the painted lines how the pit lane actually bobs up and down towards pit exit. It's on the side of a hill. It's on a sloping site on the side of the hill that undulates on the side slopes of Mount Fuji, the epic volcano, real symbol of Japan. So Chris van der Drift doing the tying in, Evan Chen doing the sitting still, letting it all happen to him. Car number 68 in from the lead of the race. don't be confused, the two cars of Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. The better place is the 66, about to lap the 98 example of Kumar Prabhakaran, his Lamborghini Cup class teammate. But in terms of pace, no comparison. Look, the quicker of the two has the yellow wing mirrors. That's Yuki Nomoto with the yellow wing mirrors, giving chase. He's over 2 seconds down on Afik Yazid. Chris van der Drift was ahead of them. He's made a pit stop. There's his car. We saw him out of the car. Evan Chen now accelerating away. And as he comes out, the chasers come in. It had to really be this lap. In comes from the temporary lead Afik Yazid for Hojust Racing. He'll hand that over to Toshiyuki Ochai. So from Malaysian racer to Japanese. And the white example of Nomoto goes on for one further lap. Yuki will bring that in, and then his teammate for the 66, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing entry, Alex Au, will wait to take that over. But certainly looking at the way Nomoto's driving, he's just trying to save every 10th of a second he can on what must surely be his last lap before he brings it in and parks it up. For a few of the runners, we're starting to see faster times for them. Times that are improvement as the second driver's got in the car and has got more pace than the previous one. And one of these cars down in 11th place, just remember this, car number 89, entered by D1 Racing Team. Henry Kwong from Hong Kong did the starting sector, but it's Massimiliano, sometimes known as Max Visa, who's taken it over. And that's his target, the number 57 car being hunted down and pushed very hard by the black example of Max Visa. The gap's 5.8 seconds between them, but Max in 89, that's not the chasing car there. There's 57, and the car in behind is not in that battle. So, Afik Yazid has got out. Toshiyuki Ochai is into the number 38 entry from Hojust Racing. Don't forget that was second before the pit stops. Come out absolutely level with the driver who took over the leading car. Evan Chen is still in the leading car, but it's very, very close indeed after the pit stops. Coming out at different times they came in by the time they all came out. Now, Yuki Nomoto is about to get out of this, the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing car. Going to hand it over to Alex Au. It's the last of the top three to pit, and don't forget, these cars are running very, very closely, around 1 to 1.5 seconds apart for the vast majority of the first part of this 50-minute race. So it's almost like battle has been rejoined, complete normality. Maybe half a second has come the way of car number 38, but as Ochai pushes on, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what he can do about Evan Chen. Pit window now closed as of a few seconds ago. Still some cars in there, but it's fine as long as they got into the pit lane before it closed. That is absolutely cool. And the big question right now is not only can Toshiyuki Ochai find a way past Evan Chen. Evan seems to have settled into his swing. It was very, very tight indeed, but it looks on form. Let's see last time around their respective pace. Yeah, hard to tell because one was on an out lap, the other was already listed there. Very, very close. And I was just looking to see where 66 will come out. Alexander Au now at the wheel. He's on the tail of this grouping, so hold on, blink. Where are we? In exactly the same order as we were before the pit stops, and I'd say pretty much exactly the same gaps. So what can Alex Au do at number 66? Can he close back up? Because just at the end of that first stint, it was slightly falling away. Hands of Yuki Nomoto. So first three, I'll just wait for the sector times to come up. But let's see, 1.7 seconds is the gap back to third place. Less than half a second between Evan Chen and Takayuki Ochai. Of course, being close is one thing. getting past is quite another. 77 and 47 fighting for position. Richard Muscat has handed over 47. Should now be in the hands of Daniel Stuttard. Still listed as Muscat on my screen, but I think because it's on his outlap, he's got to get through the first sector, and then the names will be corrected. Seems to be driven very well by Satoshi Furuta, Japanese racer, enjoying his time on home ground. A little bit of a slip and a slide there from a number 47 entry from GDL Racing. Again, so tempting when you try and swing off the start from the straight to get the power down as soon as possibly can. Put it down too soon though, and the nose washes away. So Evan Chen, now officially the leader again after all the drivers have made their pit stops. His advantage 1.1 second over Ochai, and in behind Alex Au in third place, another 1.5 seconds back, 3 seconds back to car number 63. So the top four positions have not changed. The car on the move is number 77, back into position. That had been running fifth, driven by Jun Toshiro, now in the hands of Satoshi Furuta. So it is continuing as you were before, albeit with different drivers in the vast majority of the cars. I do fancy right now that Evan Chen, this is the car number 68. It's won all the first 4 races, 2 at Suzuka, and before that 2 at Sepang. But one of the Suzuka wins, the first of the 2, was taken away for a technical infringement for the Gamma Racing entry. Hopefully all is legal this weekend. And let's see, is that gap going to keep going out? And this sort of sense it is around the early part of this lap. The advantage swung the way of the chaser, Ochai, in car 38. The second part of the lap, it very much swung back into the hands of the driver leading the race, Evan Chen. And behind them, I'm afraid, Alex Au, not yet quite fully up to speed, certainly in the very first sector there, in his first flying lap since coming out of the pits, but he's falling away, I think, very, very slightly. Yes, in fact, really quite a lot. Just look at that visual. What's happened? He's suddenly got company, and it could be a change of position because Kasai, in car 63, Takashi Kasai has taken over from where Yusu Pohaka started the race, and Kasai, there he is with the orange bonnet on his Lamborghini, is catching the white, blue and yellow example of Alex Au. This is the battle for third place. And then behind him, it's about 16 seconds back, as you can see, to fifth place on the graphic. And that's Furuta, who's taken over the AM class leading entry. Jun Toshiro did it first, and he's now taking the bring it home stint. But this is the battle, Alex Au and Kasai. And Kasai in the black and orange example, rented by FFF Racing Team, is really, really making good ground. Takashi Kasai pressing very hard indeed. I think he's all but caught Alex Au, but then again, we know that number 66 has good balance and he's got good pace, but right now being chased down by the driver who shares the overall lead of the championship with his teammate. Yusu Pohaka is the teammate, he is Takashi Kasai. Fairly unusually, the driver of 63, Kasai, has a single-seater background. Increasingly, a lot of drivers who race Lamborghinis and GTs do not have a single-seater background, but Kasai raced a little bit in the Italian Formula 4 season series at the end of 2014. Since then, he's been racing Porsches, the Italian GT Championship, and this year at last, Lamborghinis. He's going very well indeed. Clement Lee, just taking a look at him in car 44. Took it over in the class lead, stays in the class lead. He's only 2.5 seconds clear over the chasing car, the number 30. Now in the hands of Daijiro Yoshihara, took over from Takemichi Matsuda. That's the YH Racing Team entry, but going well indeed. There's the third car, Gabriele Moroni, third in number 88 in the LC Cup class. Gap between Daniel Stuttard coming in slowly, something amiss. He's listed as 7th, that's going to drop. Well, smoke, is that bodywork? Well, yes, you can see the right rear tyre is coming off the rim. It's always so cruel to puncture when you've been settling in very nicely. So Massimo Vignali in the car he's taken over from Brendan Leach has moved up a position. Very bad luck indeed for the Australian crew. Good run in the opening stint by Richard Muscat, and then problems for Daniel Stuttard very early in his run. He'll be super frustrated. There's the red car, Daisuke Yoshihara, second in the LC Cup, 12th overall. Into the final quarter hour of the race. In fact, 12.5 minutes remain. Gap between first and second, 1.2 seconds. It's gone out to 1.6. Not a good middle sector for Ochai in number 38 from Hojust Racing. Toshiyuki Yoshai, you see him in the background. Tries to press on, but he's lost best part of 0.4 of a second on that lap alone. So 1.6 seconds down. Third place now, car number 63, Toshiyuki Yoshai, I reckon is, he is starting to close in. He lapped faster than the race leader last time around. Third place it is now, 5.4 seconds down the race leader. And let's see, there's time, there are a dozen minutes, but I don't think that's going to be enough to gain 5 seconds. But let us see, because Kasai is really making that fly. First and second, Evan Chen, Toshiyuki Yoshai. Seesawing, but now starting to go the way of Evan Chen. 1.6 seconds clear lap. Start of the lap, 1.669 by the last interval. That's the end of the second sector now, into the third and final sector. And here's a car we haven't seen too much of, but it's always been there or thereabouts. Fifth place is where it was before the pit stops. Fifth place is where it finds itself now. Promotion Racing, leading car in the AM class by some 7 seconds. Second in the AM class is car number 6. We saw that in the pits. That was the red Huracan. And that's being driven by Yu Lin. Still the lead in the AM class. Fifth place overall is Furuta, car number 77, Promotion Racing, Satoshi Furuta. Now we just talked to this car. Second in the AM class, there it is. Yu, or sometimes Steve Lin. Dragon spread out across the top of that Lamborghini. So just looking to see Furuta last time around, lapped in 1 minute, waiting for the time to come up on the screen. It hasn't come up yet. Now it has. 1 minute 44.9. And the chasing Yu Lin, 1 minute 43.4, 1.5 seconds gain, so that it comes down to 5.5 seconds now in the battle for the AM class. Yu Lin trying his best to play catch up and make catch up work. Catch up is not working. Here we have under 10 minutes left in this race, and car 38 is dropping back. Toshiyuki Yoshai is now 2 seconds in the rear, down to 1.9. So the second part of the lap, first part of the lap, he's gained a 10th of a second back. But Evan Chen leading for Gamma Racing. They've had 3 wins and another victory taken away from them in the first 4 races on this form, you'd have to say. As the clock counts down towards its conclusion after 50 minutes of racing, that Evan Chen should be able to stroke this home. Unfortunately, Massimo Vignali is not matching the pace of Brendan Leach, who started number 7 from the outside the front row, fell at the end of the opening lap down to last place, 19th and last. The car is sitting there. In 7th place overall, Massimo Vignali is not making gains on those ahead. In fact, quite the contrary, he is 22 seconds now down back from Yu Lin. So 6th place is Lin and 7th place is Vignali. That doesn't look as though it's going to change, but what might change is the identity of the driver and the car in 2nd place. It's currently car 38, Toshiyuki Yoshai, 38 by Hojust Racing. The car behind is starting to chip away at it. 63, started by Yusuf Bahaka, entered by FFF Racing Team, but right now Takashi Kasai is the driver making the moves. Massimo Vignali losing a place now, 89 coming through, and that is making very good progress indeed. Max Visa, there he goes up into 7th place overall. Visa, in fact, he does know these circuits so well. He's been racing here for years and years and years, and he's just was the fastest driver on the track last time around. His next target, he must have a next target, is Stephen Yu Lin, but there's a 23-second gap, so I'd say that Lin is safe in 6th place overall, but Weezer on a charge. And in fact, Vignali has had 2 very slow laps in a row, and he's now fallen to 9th overall because Saran Sarithoranikal has also demoted him. After the puncture, Daniel stuttered trying to fight back in 47, but Yu Lin, 2nd in the AM class in 6th place overall. Looks fairly comfortable in front of him, but I'd expect on pace that Stuttered will get up to speed and go on past. And while all this is happening, the gap between Evan Chen at the front of the field is going out. Is that Vignali? No, it's not Vignali. That's GDL Racing, that's Gabriele Moroni keeping out of the way. Battle for second between Ochai and Kasai, getting tighter and tighter. Kasai giving chase, the black car with the orange bonnet on it. But for now, Ochai holds on to that 2nd place. 2.4 seconds down, 2.6 seconds down. Now on race leader Evan Chen. And you have to say, with 6 minutes remaining on the clock, it doesn't look as though driver of this car in 38 is going to be able to do anything about the race-leading car from Gamma Racing. Evan Chen, 2.4 seconds clear now, 2.6 seconds clear on the little graphic on the left of your screen. He's got the third and final sector of this lap to complete, and here come the chasers in 2nd and 3rd positions. Ochai and Kasai. Kasai getting closer all the time. Again on this lap, it's been better for him than the car in front of him. Well, it was in the first part of the lap, and then he's lost out a bit in the middle part of the lap, but let's see through the 3rd and final sector of the Fuji Speedway whether the 2nd of those 2 Japanese drivers, Kasai, is able to close in all over again. I don't know if he can, in fact, but let's see around the final corner. Now he's got a bit of a slipstream in 3rd place. Has Evan Chen suddenly done a slower lap? Just take a little look. No, it's looking tidy, looking good at the front of the field. He was 2.6 seconds clear. 2.6 it remains. Not able to make the slipstream work. Kasai remains in 3rd place. Kasai entered by the FFF Racing Team, a Chinese team that this year in Europe has taken over the main Lamborghini racing gig, and last weekend in the Blancpain the Blancpain GT World Challenge Europe event took a first win of the year for the Lamborghini over there, so great delight. Andrea Cordarelli leading the attack with Marco Lopelli. Into the final 5 minutes. Evan Chen sitting on the lead, 2.6 seconds, just went out the bottom of your shot there. Looking at the battle for 2nd place. Car 38, Hojas Racing, Toshiyuki Ochai, holding that down but being pushed very hard indeed. Car 63, FFF Racing Team, Yusuf Ohaka started it, but it's now Takashi Kasai who's giving chase. Is the hope for Kasai in 3rd place? Is he going to find some traffic that can put itself in front of Ochai? The only traffic in front is the race leader, Evan Chen. They need a back marker, someone who's slower, but I'm beginning to sense that Kasai is falling back in 3rd rather than closing into Ochai. Evan Chen onto another lap. That is lap number 20, waiting for him to cross the start-finish line. It'll be lap number 27 he's going on to. 2.784 seconds clear. That's been a very good couple of laps from Evan Chen. You could say he should be at the front. He's in a Pro Class car. There is one other Pro Class car, and that's the one in 3rd place. And in between them, the Pro-Am entry from Hojas Racing, started by Afik Yazid. Very, very good run from him. And now Ochai at the wheel, pressing on. Here's a battle that's closing up, 77 and 6. There have been better laps recently for Stephen Lin in number 6. He's second in the AM class, but he's closing in the number 77 entry from Promotion Racing. Satoshi Furuta holding on for now. But, well, actually, if he can just stay doing that, he's probably got enough in hand to resist Lin. But Lin closing in with every lap. The last interval was 0.77 of a second. Looks to be pretty much the same. Oh, went a bit deep into turn 4 there. Stephen Lin, I think, has undone the good that he's done, but he's pressing on all the same. So in terms of the classes, overall leader Evan Chen, 2 and a bit minutes remaining. He's in the pro class, he's leading the race. Leading Pro-Am car is in second place overall. That's the 38 entry from Hojas Race. Toshiyuki Kai at the wheel of that. The top car in AM, 5th overall. It's Satoshi Furuta for Promotion Racing, and the top car in Lamborghini Cup. Car number 44 has had a really good race. Paul 1 started, and Clement Lee is driving that, 11th overall. So that's the 4th car overall, right down to the 4th level, which is LC. Out at the front of the field, Evan Chen leading Toshi Chiyokai by 2.8 seconds. But traffic, that's Kumar Prabhakaran keeping out of the way. Vincenzo Sospiri Racing entry, but these are the opportunities that Kasai is praying for. That one didn't go his way, so he stays in 3rd place overall behind the 38. Ochai lives for another, resists yet another attack. Here's our race leader, Evan Chen. Got it sorted. So, he'll complete this lap, but he won't have enough time to do... Oh, we've got a spinner. Number 77 had been going well, and that was the challenge. Stephen Lin was coming through, and unfortunately Satoshi Furuta has stopped. He's now trying to brighten the day with a few flames. So on that downhill, the drop out of turn 1, he's facing the wrong way, and others will be going past, and all along. Well, that'll allow Max Visa to gain another position. He was running out of time to do it in terms of track time, because he was trying to take 25 seconds off them, but he will move up a position. Vignali is now starting to fall back. He's taken over from Brendan Leach. Why is he down in 10th place? Well, the others behind have been coming through. Vignali hasn't been able to match their pace. 2, 3, 4 seconds per lap down. So he's tumbling away. The car that started on the outside of the front row, started by Brendan Leach, tipped somewhere around the opening lap, fell to the tail of the field, was fighting its way back, and is now sadly, well, in fact, as the race leader goes on to his final lap, Evan Chen starts his final lap. So Vignali will hang on to a top 10 position, but really a few more laps and he's lost that as well. Evan Chen, Toshiyuki Chiyokai, and in 3rd place, car 63, started by Yusuf Bahaka, handed over to Kashi Kasai. Don't forget, they were the championship leaders coming here after 4 races. That's the 2 rounds. Sepang and then Suzuka. Consistent excellence here in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, but most notably from Gamma Racing. We're looking at the battle for 2nd and 3rd positions, or more to the point, we're looking at 2nd and 3rd positions in the battle for 2nd, but it looks for now as Ochai will hold on in the number 38 Hojas Racing entry, and surely nobody with half a lap ago could do anything about Evan Chen. Brilliant start by Chris van der Drift. He worked, but I think he kept the tyres pretty sweet, kept to the head of the field. They ran a different pit stop sequence, and the 66 Vincenzo Sospiri car, that's up in 4th place overall, came out and looked good for actually diving into the lead of the race. It was that close, it didn't work. The time has run away from it. And there was contact at turn 1, that's why 77 was facing away. That is under investigation. Evan Chen, just a few corners to go, swinging it up the hill through turns 13 and 14. Just the final corner, uphill, right-hander onto the start-finish straight. Quite hard to see up the straight because it rises, then you go over a crest, past the pit building and start dropping down towards turn 1, but he will be able to see the gantry. He'll be looking for that checkered flag. They've had that 1 victory taken away from them for a technical infringement at Suzuka, but that's the 5th time they've taken the checkered flag in 5 races as the first to the finish. In 2nd place, indeed, does come the Hojas Racing entry, number 38 and 63. Couldn't catch them, but finishing in 4th place. Good for their championship challenge. And through in 4th place comes behind Kasai, becomes Alexander Au for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. Next to the finish should be the first of the finishers in the AM class. It should be car number 6. It should be Stephen Lynn, but we will see on that. Yes, here it comes, red with the white markings. So all tidy at the front. Stephen Lynn, AM, 5th place overall. Sorry, Visa passed him on the final lap. I'm just looking at the timing screen. Strange, I didn't think Visa was going to be able to do that, but he came through. Then Lynn, number 6, who's backed right off, and then through becomes the spinner, Furuta, in 7th place overall. Also the Thoranical brothers, and then it should be Sutiluk Buncharo in next, also in the AM class, and we're waiting for Massimo Vignali. Will he have fallen any lower than the 10th place overall? Just waiting for the lap to be completed, but there we are. Vignali just gets that 10th place. So a good race, particularly at the front of the field. A few spinners who therefore lost out overall. But I think generally very good. But well done to Chris van der Drift and Evan Chen. Made it look easy. There were challengers, but they just didn't have sharp enough knives in that particular scramble. So, job done. The rain stayed away. And we can do this all over again tomorrow. So Evan Chen brings it home. Chris van der Drift should be waiting for him down in Parc Fermé beneath the podium here at the Fuji Speedway. And just for your record overall, the LC category was won by Paul Wong and Clement Lee. 11th place overall, 2nd place in class car number 30, and 3rd place in the Lamborghini Cup class car number 88, Gabriele Moroni. So plenty of fun out on the track. Here the first of the 2 races for Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. A few drivers having little misdemeanours through the course of that race, but no such problems for Chris van der Drift, just standing by race-winning Lamborghini and climbing out. Probably very, very pleased with life indeed. Evan Chen, good job by Gamma Racing. They really are the class act in the field. Very well, good driver lineup. Evan from Taipei, Chris from New Zealand, but Evan just gaining experience all the time. He sort of rose up through Porsche and Lamborghini in the Asian scene, but really laying down his marker this year. Was 2nd in the Pro-Am class last year and on course for winning overall in Pro, showing the progress that's been made. There's Tochiuchi Okai out of the car number 38, bowing to his crew, very polite. But in the background, caps on, ready for their winners' photos before they get up to the podium. Closer to camera, the driver who brought it home, Evan Chen, and smiling with a beard, of course, Chris van der Drift. So there they are, Chris van der Drift, Evan Chen, won by 3.336 seconds. So a nice tidy advantage for them at the end of the race. But they had to work in the early laps, and work they did. Toshiyuki Chai, Lafik Yazid, there in that 2nd place, leading the Pro-Am class. And then Yusuf Pohaka and Kasai in 3rd. Then a bit of a gap back to Yuki Nomoto and Alex Au for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. Top car in the AM class in the end, Yulin. But there was that clash down at turn 1 with car 77. But in the end, for now, staying at the top of the class. And the top car in LC, the Lamborghini Cup, was in 11th place overall. And at the end of the race, fallen to the tail of the runners, 16th out of the 19 starters, but the only 16 finish was Daniel Stuttard. But of course they had to come in, that Aussie pairing, to have an extra pit stop to have a punctured tyre replaced. But there are the cars that came 1st, 2nd and 3rd, or in fact going from the top of the picture, 3rd, 1st and 2nd. But Gamma Racing take the honours here today at Fuji Speedway. They've got to do it all over again tomorrow. Don't know what the weather will bring. We're expecting rain today, but it's stayed away since it stopped falling before around breakfast time here today in Fuji Speedway. Track conditions perfect now. So that's the end of the first of our 2 races. Join us for the second one tomorrow here at Fuji Speedway. That's all from me, Bruce Jones.